Hello everyone, I'm Woman International Master Knarik and I'm using the chesswithknarik.com website to record this video. In this video we're going to see another position where we have a rook versus a pawn endgame. So black has a passed pawn that wants to promote and has the support of the king, while we have a rook that's trying to stop this passed pawn from promoting. So of course in previous videos we have discussed this topic and we have said that anytime that we want to stop a passed pawn with our rook, the king must be helping the rook so that the king and rook attack the pawn, and together they'll be able to capture the black pawn without our rook being captured. Otherwise, if we just have to give up our rook for the pawn, then it's just gonna be a draw because of insufficient material. There will just be kings on the board and it's going to be a draw. So and we also discussed that what is the best way to defend against a passed pawn, and what's the second best way to defend against a passed pawn. And in this video we're going to see if both ways are working in this position, and we're also going to see a third way if that is going to work or not. So we said before that the best way to stop a passed pawn is to have our rook behind the passed pawn. So here the move is going to be, we're trying to have our pawn behind the passed pawn and use that way. So we're trying the first way, rook behind the passed pawn, that's rook to f8. Now if black is pushing the pawn, what else will black play, right? They'll just be losing the pawn if they move the king. So black is pushing the pawn here. So we also said that our king should be helping in attacking this pawn. But from where should this king attack the pawn? We cannot attack it from the e file. So our king will be attacking the black pawn from the g file. So we need to move to the g file as fast as we can with the king. So it's true that for one move we are blocking our rook, but it's just for one move, it's okay. So here, say black is pushing the pawn again. It looks like black is going to make it. It's so ahead with the pawn. But let's see. We're moving our king to the g file as we discussed because we want to move and try to attack the pawn with our rook and capture it. Now, this is the advantage we said of having a rook behind the passed pawn, is that this passed pawn won't be able to push again without the help of the king. And whenever the king is helping the pawn, it's like black is losing a move, black is losing time, which is giving us one move to get our king closer to the passed pawn. And here it is already. We're already attacking that black pawn twice and we want to capture it. So any king move is not okay for black. Black should now push the pawn. Now again, we get our king with the rook to attack the black passed pawn. And now we're attacking it twice. And as we said before, this pawn cannot be pushed because our rook is behind the passed pawn. That's the advantage of having the rook behind the passed pawn. So what else can black play? We're already attacking the pawn twice. If the pawn doesn't move, it means that on the next turn it's just going to be captured. So let's say black is playing king to e2. It doesn't really matter. We're just capturing that pawn and definitely winning this endgame with an extra rook. Now, going back. So we did try to the best way, which was putting the rook behind the passed pawn, and it worked. We did win this game. Now, what was the second way? The second way to try to fight against the pawn promoting, a passed pawn promoting with only our rook, is to, of course, again, the rook and king must work together, but the second way is to have the rook on the promotion square. Now, let's try to do that. If I play king to d1, and black, let's say, is pushing the pawn, and we go to the promotion square and black's pushing the pawn. Now our king's turn to get closer to this pawn. Our king is moving to f6. Black king moved to e3. Our king is moving to g5 again. From the g file we're going to attack this pawn, but already there's a problem. Here, let's say black is pushing the pawn. We're getting our king closer to try to attack the pawn with both of our pieces, the king and rook, but already black is attacking our rook, and we need to move away with the rook, and black will be able to promote, which means that we will have to give up our rook for this promoted pawn, and this game is going to end in a draw. But something we forgot to do in that line. What did we forget? let's see, we said that whenever we're trying to use the promotion square to stop a pass pawn from promoting, we should try to do that by gaining time. And let's try to do that. If we move to the rook to d1 and black pushes the pawn. So let's try to move to f1, but by gaining time. And how are we gaining time? It is by doing some checks or attacking the black pawns. And let's try that. Let's say if I check, black's moving away. Now, if I attack the pawn from f1, the black king is going to be defending the pawn from e3, and my king will be able to get close. If the king is defending from e3, my king is getting close. Let's see. But on the other hand, if we move back, if the black king is moving to e4, but that also means that we did reach the f1 square without losing time, and it is our turn, and we are going to get our king closer. So we're gonna take a look at both lines. Now, let's say the black king moved to f4 so that our king doesn't get e4, so that our king doesn't get closer from the f file. So we're playing king to f6, black pushed the pawn, we're playing king to g5, black played king to e3, because again the pawn can't be pushed without the support of the king. And there we go, we're attacking the pawn twice, and now black must push the pawn so we don't capture that pawn. Now we're attacking the pawn twice as well, and we made it. Let's go back. Let's try the next line. What if we go to the d1 square, black push the pawn, and we try by gaining time to move to the f1 square, and black moves the king to e3. But we said we can also use this in a good way for us, because now instead of moving our king to the g file from f6 and then g5 and then to a g4, we can do it just in 2 moves. So we can just go to first f5 and then to g4. So here we can move to f5, attacking the pawn. The pawn will be pushed, of course, by black. We're attacking the pawn one more time. So we're attacking the pawn with a rook and a king again. Black is gonna push the pawn. We're going to attack that pawn a second time, and now black can do nothing to stop us from capturing that pawn on our turn again, and we made it. So let's go. In this example, both ways worked. When the first one was the best place for the rook behind the pass pawn, it did work. The second one was occupying the promotion square. It worked, but only when we did it by gaining time. When we moved to f1, but by doing some checks and attacking the black pawn and gaining time, not just by losing a move and just moving our rook to f1 and allowing black to play a move in this position. Now, let's see, going back, what if we try a third way? Or what if we try a third way? Let's say taking the rook to the side and try to do some checks from the side. Not the promotion square, not behind the pass pawn, but from the side. Say black is going to push the pawn. Let's say we checked. Black moved away. Let's say we got our king closer to capture the pawn. Black pushed the pawn. Say we check. Black played king to e2. We got our king closer to attack the pawn. Now, where is this going? Where this is going is that we're trying to reach the same position with white, but on the back rank, which is going to result in a checkmate when we do this check from the side. So it looks like it's gonna work for white, this strategy. So black is moving the king to e1. We're moving our king to e3. And what's this? So is also moving our rook from the side, working in defending against the pass pawn. That's going to promote, because here if black is promoting, it's true, we are going to check, and that's a checkmate and we're winning again. But that's not what's going to happen here. Here black is going to promote not to a queen, but it's going to under promote to a knight. When black under promotes to a knight, that's going to be a check, and this game is going to end in a draw. But of course there's one condition, that this knight does not go too far from the black king, because if we get our knight to move too far from the black king, then the rook and the white king are going to be able to trap that knight and win it eventually. So We just have to make sure that we're staying close to our king. So let's say checks like this, but we don't go too far with our knight, but we stay close to our king. A move like king to d3, we can stay on let's say g3, and again let's say white is moving to g2. We don't go too far with our knight, because again that's going to lead to having our knight too far from our king. We stay close to our king, and this game is going to end in a draw. Now only this case is different only if we take exactly the same position and we put it on the edge of the chessboard. Here let's put the same pieces on the edge of the chessboard, and when we under promote to a knight and check, is the only place that this game is not going to end in a draw, and white is going to be able to win this for sure, because here on the edge of the chessboard this knight doesn't have too many moves, and here there's a way for white just to win that knight on the next turn or just win the game. For example, if white just plays king to f3 in this position, what will black play? Now there is no safe moves for the knight, because whether we move to g3 or we move to f2 with our knight, we're just gonna lose it. And instead, if we just move our king, again we're gonna lose the game by checkmate. So going back, we can say very easily that always to try to fight against the passed pawn, the best way is to be behind the passed pawn. But if we see that in some positions going behind the passed pawn with our rook is not working, the next option would be to try to go from in front of the passed pawn on the promotion square, of course by trying to gain time, moving there by gaining time by doing some checks and attacking the pawn, so that again we try to stop the passed pawn, while usually moving from the side with the rook and trying to defend from the side is the worst way possible that we can try to defend against the passed pawn, and most of the time it's not going to be working and the game is going to be ending in a draw.